Tales from the Mahabharata. Pashupata. The Pashupatastra is an irresistible and most destructive personal weapon of Shiva, Kali and Adi Parashakti, which can be discharged by the mind, the eyes, words or a bow. Never to be used against lesser enemies or by lesser warriors, the Pashupatastra is capable of destroying creation and vanquishing all beings. Pashupatastra is the most destructful, powerful, irresistible weapon mentioned in the Hindu mythology. In Mahabharata, only Arjuna, and in Ramayana, sage Vishwamitra and Rama possessed Pashupatastra. It is one of the 6 mantra-mukta weapons that cannot be resisted. After the battle at Khandava, Indra had promised Arjuna to give him all his divine weapons as a boon for matching him in battle, with the requirement that Shiva is pleased with him. Following the advice of Lord Krishna and sage Vyasa to go on meditation or tapasya to attain the divine weapon, Arjuna left his brothers for penance at Indrakila hill in Vijayawada. Arjuna took leave of his brothers and went to Panchali to bid her farewell. She said, "O Dhananjaya, may you prosper in your mission. May God give you all that Kunti Devi hoped and wished for you when you were born. The happiness, life, honor and prosperity of all of us depend on you. Return after acquiring new weapons." Thus Panchali sent him forth with these auspicious words. Arjuna passed through dense forests and reached the mountain of Indrakila, where he met an old Brahmana who was in fact Indra. The ascetic smiled and spoke affectionately to Arjuna. "Child, you are clad in armor and carry weapons. Who are you? Weapons are of no use here. What do you seek in this garb of a Kshatriya, in this abode of ascetics and saints who have conquered anger and passion?" Arjuna bowed to his father and said, "I seek arms. Please bless me with weapons." Indra replied, "O Dhananjaya, what is the use of weapons? Ask for pleasures or seek to go to higher worlds for enjoyment." But Arjuna answered, "O King of gods, I do not seek pleasures of higher worlds. I have come here for the sole purpose of acquiring weapons after leaving Panchali and my brothers in the forest." The thousand-eyed said, "If you be blessed by the vision of God Shiva, the three-eyed God, and obtain his grace, you will receive divine weapons. Do penance unto Shiva." Thus saying, Indra disappeared. Then Arjuna went to the Himalayas and did penance to obtain the grace of Shiva. On learning about Arjuna's penance, Duryodhana sent a demon Mukasura to kill Arjuna. The demon Mukasura took the form of a wild boar to interrupt Arjuna's worship. On knowing this, Lord Shiva, along with Umadevi, appeared there in the form of a hunter. It is also believed that the 4 Vedas followed the Lord in the form of dogs to protect Arjuna. Shiva, under the guise of a hunter and accompanied by his divine spouse Umadevi, entered the forest in pursuit of game. The chase grew fast and furious, and presently a wild boar started charging at Arjuna, who shot an arrow into it with his Gandiva bow. But at the same moment the hunter Shiva, in actual, transfixed it with an arrow from his Pinaka bow. Arjuna shouted in a loud voice, "Who are you? Why are you ranging in this forest with your wife? How dare you shoot at the game I aimed at?" The hunter replied as though in contempt, "This forest is full of game. It belongs to us who live in it. You do not look tough enough to be a forester. Your limbs and bearing bespeak a soft, luxurious life. It is rather for me to ask what you are doing here." He also added that it was his arrow that had killed the boar, and that if Arjuna thought differently, he was welcome to fight about it. Nothing could please Arjuna better. he jumped up and showered snake-like arrows at Shiva. But to his amazement, they seemed to have no effect on the hunter and fell back hurtless like storm-driven rain from a mountain peak. When he had no more arrows, he started to strike Shiva with his bow, but the hunter seemed not to heed it and wrenched with ease the bow out of Arjuna's hand and burst into laughter. Arjuna, who had been disarmed with humiliating ease by one who seemed an ordinary hunter of the forest, was struck with amazement, almost amounting to doubt. But nothing daunted, he drew his sword and continued the combat. The sword was slivered to pieces on the hunter's adamantine frame. There was now nothing to do but to grapple with the formidable unknown, but there again he was outmatched. The hunter caught him in an iron clasp so close that Arjuna was quite helpless. Worsted and overmastered, Arjuna humbly sought divine aid and meditated on Shiva. And as he did so, a light broke on his troubled mind, and at once he knew who the hunter really was. He fell at the feet of the Lord, and in a broken voice, repeated in adoration, he prayed for forgiveness. "I forgive you," said Shiva smilingly, and gave back the Gandiva, as well as the other weapons of which he had been deprived. He also bestowed on Arjuna the marvellous Pashupata weapon. Arjuna's body, battered in unequal combat, was made whole and perfect by the divine touch of the three-eyed god, and became 100-fold stronger and more brilliant than before. "Go to heaven and render dutiful respect to your father Indra," said Shiva, and vanished from view like the setting sun. Arjuna was overcome with joy and exclaimed, "Have I really seen the Lord's face? And have I been blessed with his divine touch? What more do I need?" At that moment, Matali, the charioteer of Indra, came there with his chariot and took Arjuna to the kingdom of gods.